presented by Exquisite Timepieces. More information about them in the description down below and at the end of this video. Have you ever wanted to get something a little more complicated than your standard 3-hand time and date wristwatch, but the cost of higher complication watches has dissuaded you? I get it. Highly complicated watches get expensive real quick. A Patek Perpetual Calendar lists for $92,000. A Lange Triple Split Chronograph, it has an MSRP of $165,000. Even something like a Vacheron Overseas Worldtime starts at a bit over $36,000. But there are options out there. And that's what we're looking at today. A really interesting watch with a GMT Worldtime complication that won't absolutely break the bank like those previously mentioned models. This is the Omega Seamaster Aqua Terra GMT Worldtimer. Now, I know this isn't your typical and ever-popular Seamaster Divers 300 or the Speedmaster Moonwatch. It's something a bit different. But having a partnership with my local watch store and Omega authorized dealer, Exquisite Timepieces, I want to take the opportunity from time to time and check out some watches that aren't the same old thing that we see over and over here on YouTube. So I hope you enjoy this one. The GMT Worldtimer is a 43mm variation of the Omega Seamaster Aqua Terra. It comes in right around 14mm in thickness with a lug-to-lug length of 49.5mm, and the bracelet sits between the lugs at 21mm. I will say that on the wrist, the watch wears a bit larger than I might prefer. My wrist is 6 3/4 inches, and it's just approaching what I might consider a little bit too big. However, I can't imagine this watch being any smaller. The beautiful Worldtime dial, and in particular the inner 24-hour ring, would be hard to read if they were to reduce the size of this watch in any significant way. As for the rest of the watch specs, it does have a screw-down crown at the 3 o'clock side of the watch case, and the watch is 150 meters water resistant. The dial is covered by a really nice domed sapphire crystal with excellent anti-reflective treatment on both sides of the glass. The case and the bracelet are stainless steel, and the case has the familiar Omega design, including the polished, twisting lyre lug profile. The smooth, sloped bezel is also highly polished, and the rest of the case features a crisp, brushed finishing. The bracelet rides on really nice, smooth, pivoting end links, and it features polished center links down to the dual-trigger, deployant Omega-signed clasp. And that clasp, it's really nice as well. It's low profile. And while it doesn't have any micro adjustment points, the bracelet does feature a pair of half links, so getting a good fit shouldn't be too much trouble. The watch, of course, runs a Metas master chronometer caliber 8938 movement. It's an automatic self-winding movement, it has a 60-hour power reserve, and as a Metas master chronometer, it meets a number of requirements for magnetic resistance, durability, reliability, and timekeeping. And of course, it's very nicely finished, as you can see through the display case back window. So, coming in at a price of $9,100, based on specs alone, and of course compared to competitive options on the market, it's a fine watch, without a doubt. But that's before we even get into this amazing Worldtime dial. The blue laser-ablated titanium dial features highly polished hands and applied hour markers. And the hands and markers are filled with glow-in-the-dark lume, giving you great readability in any lighting conditions. A double chapter ring at the periphery of the dial lists cities associated with each of the 24 time zones, with London being highlighted in red as to indicate the GMT zone, and the other cities in white or blue as to indicate which don't observe daylight savings time. Now, just above the London indicator, we have a date calendar as well, which adds another really useful complication to an already feature-rich watch. Outboard of that central map, we have the 24-hour time ring, which aligns with and indicates the current time in each of the time zones listed. Now, much like a standard GMT watch with an additional hand and a 24-hour bezel, once the GMT scale on this watch is set, you're then free to independently adjust the hour hand while the watch runs, setting it to the local time as you travel from time zone to time zone. Finally, we have the world map, central to the dial. It's not quite engraved, but relieved into the titanium dial via laser, and the artistry of the map is lovely. And interestingly, it's not painted. The color is in fact left behind due to a chemical reaction with the lasering process. Also, another really interesting thing about the dial and that map is that the city names on the chapter ring point to where they would be located on the map, making it really easy to look at the map and find a reference point, like New York City, for example, and follow an imaginary line out to the chapter ring to confirm the time zone. I've got to say that overall, this is a fantastic watch, and all of the little details like the teak pattern on the dial to the Omega signed crown and the fantastic fit and finish, it really does make it a super value, at least, relative to what else is available in the luxury watch market. Now, if you haven't had the pleasure of checking one of these out in person, I really highly recommend it. Contact your local Omega boutique or authorized dealer, or better yet, if you're in the Southwest Florida area, go see my friends at Exquisite Timepieces, or if you're anywhere in the world, give them a call. I think that seeing this for yourself is really worth it. Yeah, it might be a little bit different than the usual watches that we see here on YouTube, but nonetheless, it is super impressive. This video is presented in partnership with Exquisite Timepieces, my local brick-and-mortar watch dealer located here in Naples, Florida. Exquisite is an authorized dealer of dozens of watch brands, including Omega, Seiko and Grand Seiko, Blancpain, Breguet, and many, many more. Exquisite also has a fantastic selection of pre-owned watches with new inventory coming in daily. So if you're looking for your next watch, I highly recommend checking out their website, exquisitetimepieces.com, or calling their store at 239-227-2932. And if you do happen to talk to them, let them know that you heard about them from Guy and the JustBlueFish channel. I can't recommend them enough.